Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello and welcome everyone to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Ruth Ellen Sanchez and I am filling in for Rebecca Dukes as she is away having a vacation. Today we have the phenomenal Ben Fuchs, who is just a wealth of knowledge and a guest that I really love. And I know that everybody loves it when Ben is on. So I just have a couple things I have to do real quick. And one of them is the thing Ben hates the most.
Oh, no, don't do that.
This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it meant to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements of this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are stated as individual experiences of the individual. Results may vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health, income. As an empowered individual, you do have choices available. And I know Ben is going to give you some options today. And if you have questions, please raise your hands early because Ben has a hard stop today. And we want to respect his time because we value him. And also, this program is sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. And if somebody referred you to this program, make sure you get back with them at the end of this program with the recommendations that were given. So, Ben, I am going to bring you onto the screen with me. And I got that. Oh, I changed it. Okay. All right. How you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you. You're getting really good at this, Ruth Ellen. You're a pro. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel a little incompetent compared to your smooth style. Smooth.
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't feel smooth at all.
You are smooth. One smooth cookie. So we're gonna do question and answers, huh?
Yes. So we already have one hand up. So why don't we go to Ann Barber? And then as people raise their hands, we'll ask questions, and we're going to mix in their questions that were emailed to us yesterday when we did the replay of your other show that we.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's let her rip.
All right. Ann, can you please unmute?
Okay. All right. Good morning or good afternoon here.
Hello. Hi, Ann.
Hey, so Ben, I've been wanting to ask you your opinion about metabolism.
My opinion,
Yeah.
metabolism sucks.
Yeah, it does.
I
Yeah.
hate metabolism.
Yeah. So what happened is a couple years ago I did the hair analysis and it said I had a slow metabolism.
Oh no.
And then I did thermography and it said that my lymphs were slow. So I
Oh my
do.
God, you're getting all sluggish here on us. You're
Yeah.
slow.
So then and then, I went in and because I'm always trying to tweak things. And I looked up this thing called the pro-metabolic approach. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Ray Peat, but they
Love
kind of,
Ray Peat. Ray Peat's awesome.
yeah. But so the thing was, he talks
I
about,
don't always agree with Ray Peat though, but he is awesome.
yeah, that's it. I don't either. But he talks about like eating more carbs.
Yeah,
And
he's big on sugar and carbs. That's right.
yeah.
He
And-
says to actually eat sugar.
Right.
That's one of the things I don't agree with him on. But
Right. So I tried doing that a little bit and I just like totally messed myself up.
okay,
So-
tell me your question.
So is it important to have a fast metabolism?
That's a great
or-
question. Let's leave it at that because that's a really
Okay.
good question.
All right.
Are you familiar with the concept of torque?
As far as an engine is concerned, yeah.
As far as an engine, right? You ride a bike? You ever ride a bicycle, like a 10-speed bicycle?
Yes.
All right, so if you go on the low gear, you get torque. You go on a high gear, you get speed,
Right.
right? So when talking about metabolism, to say fast or slow metabolism isn't really an accurate term. It's kind of a simplistic way of looking at metabolism. What you're looking for is torque. You're looking for power with your metabolism. You don't want it fast or slow. You want high torque. So you want to get more movement per input of energy, more bang for your buck. That's how you want to look at metabolism. The longest living animals in the world have slow metabolisms, and the shortest living animals in the world have fast metabolism. A fruit fly has an incredibly fast metabolism, and it lives a week or two. A rodent has a fast metabolism. Squirrels have fast metabolism. Rats have fast metabolism. The smaller animals that have fast metabolism don't live as long as the elephants and the tortoises and the sharks and the animals that have the slower metabolism. So fast metabolism, slow metabolism is a little misleading because the slow metabolism, while it sounds like it's bad, and it kind of is because things aren't moving as fast, and as you sort of imply, things are kind of slow down and you become sluggish. So on the one hand, a fast metabolism is not a good thing, and a slow metabolism is. But on the other hand, a slow metabolism means you're not making things as well. So it's not really about the metabolism speed as much as it's the metabolism power. You with me?
Yes.
The torque that you're talking about. And that's what you're looking to accomplish, bang for your buck. And that's why nutrient density is important, and that's why nutritional supplementation is important, and that's why calorie restriction is so important. Nutrient density gives you torque. It gives you more bang for your buck. Calorie restriction gives you less speed, slows things down. Between calorie restriction and optimum nutrition, you get torque. You get metabolism that's not really slow or fast. It's not really the accurate term. It's powerful. And that's what you're looking for. The Cron diet. Calorie restriction with optimum nutrition. If you have lots of calories, that's going to generate heat. That's high torque. That's fast metabolism. Things move really fast. That's not good. If you have just the right amount of if you have the right amount of calories, but you don't have enough nutrition, again, the same thing. You get more energy without enough tools to utilize the energy. But on the other hand, if you have optimum amounts of nutrients, your body can then utilize the calories and get what I call more bang for your buck. And that's what you're looking for. So it's kind of a fallacious argument whether you want to be fast metabolism or slow metabolism. You want powerful metabolism. You want torque.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. And you accomplish torque by a combination of slowing down or reducing the calories, slowing down the speed, but maximizing the bang for your buck. The amount of utilization that you can get per unit of calorie or per caloric unit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a function of nutrition. This is why A, nutrient density is so important. B, nutritional supplementation is so important. And C, nutrient density and nutritional supplementation with calorie restriction. All of that gives you torque, and that's what you're looking for.
Okay, that makes perfect sense then.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean, when I reduce my calories and when I go low carb, I always feel better.
Well, you don't want to just reduce your calories in low carb. You want to reduce your calories in low and have low carb with optimum amounts of micronutrients. And that
Right,
gets to, by the
right.
way, the distinction, which we've talked about before, but it's instructed to repeat it, repetition being reinforcement, the distinction between macronutrients and micronutrients. A lot of times when people talk about nutrition, they don't make that distinction, and it leads to a lot of confusion. See, macronutrition, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, that's your macronutrients. Macro obviously means big. Those kinds of nutrients, the macronutrients, have calories in them. They are condensed energy, squished up energy. Kind of think of a magnet. I don't know if you ever did this when you were a kid, where you take two magnets and you force them to go together. They don't want to go together, but you force them to go together, right?
Yep.
And you kind of feel energy between the two magnets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you let go of them, they go boom, they spring apart, right? Because all that energy between the two magnets, right?
Right.
So if you force those magnets to go together with some kind of mechanical force, and you lock them into place, there's going to be a lot of trapped energy in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Force them in, and then if you could somehow like hit a switch or kind of break that, stop forcing them, they're going to spring apart. That's what macronutrition is. It's got a lot of energy squished into place through force. And that energy that's squished into place through force is, if the force is removed, or if some other force comes in that breaks that apart, you get a spring effect, just like you do when the two magnets are pushed apart. That spring effect, if it's not controlled, is very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have energy flying all over the place. So nature has equipped foods, which contain all these substances, these macronutrients, with special magical substances that channel that energy into chemical reactions, harness it, we say.
Mm-hmm.
Those substances that channel all that energy are called the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids, and the fatty acids. Without those, you just get the energy all over the place. That's not a good thing. With them, the energy goes into making collagen, or making new cells, or supporting DNA, or the immune system, or whatever, all the things the body does. And that's why micronutrients are so important relative to macronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why micronutrients give you more bang for your buck. You can now use all that energy. If you just have the macronutrients without the micronutrients, that's a very bad situation. Because now you got all this energy all over the place, right?
Right.
This is the situation we find ourselves in the year 2025 based on our food supply, because, stick with me here because it's a little bit tricky. The number one job of the human body is to find energy. That's the primary directive, is to find energy. And we think about it, it makes sense, because for eons, thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years, there wasn't a lot of energy. So we needed energy to run our bodies. So over the course of time, through evolution, we developed these mechanisms for finding energy and loving energy.
Mm.
Okay? Do you ever wonder why? No, I bet you haven't wondered this, but if I tell you this, you'll say, "Oh yeah, well, I wonder why." This is true. Why do we love the taste of sugar? Why does sugar taste delicious to us? What is it about that? It's just sugar, but if you eat sugar, it's just so delicious, right?
Right.
Even if you eat a spoon of it, it's delicious. A spoon of honey is delicious. Certainly sugary foods are delicious. They're just flat out delicious, right?
Yes.
They have that, and that deliciousness is really sweet. It's that sweet taste, right? Why should sugar taste sweet? What is it about that? What's going on there? Why should sugar taste sweet? And why should we find it so delicious? Well, sugar is a dense source of easy to process energy. So nature has set up a system where we will just absolutely love sugar. Because remember, our prime directive, the body's prime directive, is find energy, and sugar is a very easy to obtain, easy to process source of energy. So nature has set it up so we're absolutely love sugar. But over the last 100 years, 150 years, through science and technology, as our understanding of chemistry and biochemistry and biology really kicked in, we figured out how to make things taste sweet and to create foods that were super sweet that never existed before, call those processed foods. So through technology, we figured out how to hack in to that drive for sugar. And today we got foods, most of our foods are foods that contain super high concentrations of sugar, or sugar's sustained release form, which is fat. Fat is sustained release, slow release sugar, stored sugar, complex sugar, if you will. Basically the same thing. So we have developed a food supply that has hacked in to our drive for sugar. So that under ordinary circumstances, for the course of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, it was a good thing that we love sugar because there wasn't a lot of sugar around. So we would just go crazy. We would actually stick our hand in a beehive to get some honey. Or we would forage for hours or even days to find some berries because we just love, love, love sugar. Today, you don't have to forage for days to find sugar. You can't go 20 feet without finding a source of sugar. And this has created a situation where we are burning up because of so much energy. Whereas up until the late 1800s, there wasn't a lot of energy. Now we're burning up from so much energy. We're literally frying our energy processing circuitry. That's the mitochondria. We're frying our mitochondria, our energy processing circuitry, with so much energy and so much sugar, especially relative to the lack of the micronutrients. Remember, the micronutrients help your body use all that energy. Remember the two magnets are stuck together. We got all of this force that's flying all over the place, but we don't have anything to channel it. When that happens in the body, one of two things will occur. Either you'll fry out your circuits, and that's what's happening, and you're going to hear more and more about mitochondrial medicine and mitochondrial disease and metabolic diseases. These are all illnesses that are based in too much energy. Or you'll get a storage of all that energy. I shouldn't say or because they both happen at the same time, but that's the second thing that can occur is all that energy will get stored, and that's where our fat is, and that's where our obesity epidemic is. Fat has its own biochemical profile that creates problems, including inflammation, including toxicity, including more work for the cardiovascular system, including the production of hormones. Fat makes hormones, so now your hormones are thrown off. So between changes in this structure in the organ called fat, and you want to start thinking about fat as an organ in the body, and the incredibly dramatic surfeit or excess of energy that the body has, we're frying out our circuits and we're producing obesity with all its associated problems, and that's why we are the starving obese. We got all this energy, we can't use it. It's like water everywhere, not a drop to drink. Right? You ever hear that? That's basically how it is. Energy everywhere, and we can't use it. The micronutrients help you use the macronutrients, which is why people who start a micronutrient supplement program, all of a sudden they're not as hungry because they can now utilize the energy from the macronutrients. And this is one of the major reasons why a micronutrient supplement program is so important. And it's one of the major reasons why a micronutrient deficiency is so relevant and important when it comes to poor health. And so understanding the distinction between macronutrients and micronutrients will allow you to leverage the power of the vitamins and the minerals and the aminos and the fatty acids, and it will allow you to get more bang for your buck, more energy bang for your caloric buck. So I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, how that answers your question, but yes, we are thrown off our food supply because we're essentially getting energy like a thirsty person trying to drink water out of a fire hose. We're flooding our body with energy, and that is a big problem. Now, what Ray Peat, by the way, says is that small amounts of sugar, straight sugar, he says actually eating glucose or sugar, sucrose, can actually quiet down the drive for sugar. It can satisfy the drive for sugar. So when he talks about eating sugar, he talks about using it almost like a supplement. So you don't want other forms of sugar, and you do it in a controlled way. I'm not sure I agree with that, but that's his take on it.
Yeah.
The bottom line here is you want to have more micronutrients relative to your macronutrients so you can get more energy bang for your caloric buck. Calories are not your friend. And that's why calorie restriction is always associated with longevity as long as it's linked to optimum nutrition. That is optimum micronutrition.
Yep, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. Well, thank you. Glad you asked that, Ann Barber.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yes.
Anne. All right. So we are going to go to Bill. You could unmute, please. And then we'll take in another question.
Thank you, Ben. Question regarding I-26 in the morning. I usually mix in tangy tangerine or the Rise, but I mix it in a shaker, little bottle. Afterwards, do we need to super clean that or sterilize that? Is
No.
that
On the
egg in
bottom.
that contaminate
Oh, the
anything?
egg. And the Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
No, I'm talking about the egg
Yeah,
in
the egg
I-26.
powder. The egg powder is protein, and yes, protein grows things. Everything likes protein. So yeah, you definitely want to clean that out really good because bacteria love protein and mold loves protein. Everything loves protein. So yes, you want to
Right,
make
so
sure
so
anytime you have,
sterilize it.
I don't need to
I'm
sterilize
sorry.
it. Soap and water are probably good. But anytime you
Right.
have protein, everything likes protein. And everything likes sugar too, by the way. Interestingly though, high concentrations of sugar actually kill bacteria. And you can use super high concentrations of sugar, like sugar solutions, I should say, and you don't have to preserve them because even though bacteria love sugar, super high concentrations kill bacteria, which is a really instructive lesson for us because what are bacteria? But they're cells. So super high concentrations are toxic of sugar are toxic to cells, and that phenomena can be utilized for preservation, and it actually is utilized for preservation of certain medicinal agents, cough syrups, and such. I use that sometimes in my skincare business, super high concentrations of sugar to act as a preservative because it kills things. But protein is different in the sense that you don't have that toxicity effect associated with high concentrations of protein. And anywhere where there's protein, you want to make sure you're cleaning really well, which you'll know because your protein will start to smell after a while. So if you did leave some egg in your cup, in your shaker, whatever you're using, hyperimmune egg or any other kind of protein for that matter, it would start to smell after a while. And that smell would be an indicator that bacteria are growing or mold or some kind of microbes are growing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All right. And Jill?
Sorry, I'm trying to get my headphones off. Can you hear me?
Okay. Are you there?
Hola. No?
All right, Jill, we're going to come back to you after Albert, okay? All right, Albert, go ahead.
Hi, Albert.
Hi there, Ben. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What's going on out there in down under? Oh, you're in Africa. You're in South Africa.
South Africa, yeah.
Yeah, I love your pet zebra back there. He's beautiful.
Yep, Marty.
Marty, yeah.
Yeah. Ben, we've got a lady who's been on antidepressants and she'd love to get off them. And she's been told that she has a hypersensitive esophagus. And that's one of the things that's her concern in taking the longevity, some of the longevity nutrients. Now, she's on the show with us. If she's keen.
Yeah, put her on.
and
Put her on the show. Or put her on.
Patricia, would you like to unmute yourself and come on? Then you can ask Pharmacist Ben directly.
Patricia Wilson.
Patricia Wilson, yeah. You there? Hi, Patricia.
Okay. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Ben. I'm a big fan of yours from coast to coast, and I love your
appreciate
moment
that.
of truth.
Okay, gotcha. And where
Yeah.
what part of the planet are you on? What part of the world are you?
Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of the
Yeah.
Indy 500.
I love it. I used to go to Indianapolis all the time to do talks. Do you know any of the longevity folks there?
No, I don't. I've been using longevity products since early 2022, and they've been great.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So you have what antidepressant are you on?
Well, since the mid 90s, I was on the generic of Lexapro, acetalopram, 10
Okay.
milligram.
Okay.
And in 2021, I went on the 20 milligram for like 3 years. And then I decided to go off of it because I just didn't want to be on it anymore. I wanted to use the de-stress.
Okay.
And when I followed my doctor's protocol, he had me go from 20 to 10 milligrams the next day, which I think was a mistake. But I
What
was
happened when you went
terribly-
higher? What happened when you went higher?
I didn't like the way it made me feel. It
Okay.
just numb, like you just had no
Got it.
emotion.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And so when you took the Lexapro, the right dose, you're just normal and just not depressed?
Yeah, I mean, I was never really depressed. It was more anxiety
Ah,
driven.
anxiety. Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
when I went,
Let me just say this real quick. So you also said there's some kind of esophageal issue, right?
yeah, when I went off of it, I had the next day literally stomach problems, and I
Okay.
went from 134 to like 112, and
Now,
I'm 5.
do you have stomach problems or esophageal problems or both?
Well, I've had postnasal drip from this drug since like 2017. And
Okay.
it seems like when the mucus flows, it's only on my right side, it starts the acidy stuff, but the
Okay.
drug covered it up.
Well, there's a major relationship between drugs like Lexapro that technically you probably know this. They're technically called SSRIs,
Yes.
right? Serotonin reuptake inhibitors, meaning they leave more serotonin available, so you have more serotonin effects. The problem is serotonin plays a major role in the digestive system. In fact,
Yeah.
it's mostly a digestive hormone, not a brain hormone. And your digestive system is actually known as a brain. It's a type of brain. So there's a lot of crossover between depression and digestive health, between antidepressants and digestive functioning. So it's not unusual for you to have anxiety associated with something going on in your digestive tract. And I would venture to say, if you listen to me before, you know what I'm going to say here, is that you've been dealing with the first point on the triangle of disease for a long time, digestive issues.
Right.
That's very likely where I say some of that anxiety comes from. The reason I say some is I'm always a little careful about linking psychological issues to physiological issues, about making that connection. There's certainly a relationship. Like I told you, if you have digestive problems, it's a short jump to psychological issues. But there's also other reasons why people have anxiety. We live in an anxiety promoting, anxiety inducing society. Just watching the news is going to induce anxiety. You know, watch the news. Have you watched the news lately? I haven't watched it in a long time, but have you watched it lately? There's no way, if you're even remotely sensitive, that you're not going to get anxious hearing about, politics or accidents or murders or wars. Look what we're surrounding ourselves with. And which, by the way, leads one to ask, why are we doing that? Why are the powers that be flooding us with these kinds of anxiety promoting information that doesn't help us? Like, do I really need to know that a bus overturned on a mountain in Tibet and 36 kids were killed? Or there was a mass murder in Sweden and 40 people or 20 people, whatever, were shot? Do we really need to know this stuff? No. You got to ask, what is the purpose of telling us all these things? So we're encouraged to feel anxiety all the time. We're encouraged to feel fear all the time. In fact, in marketing, they actually tell you when you study marketing, create fear, called FOMO. Fear of missing out. They want you being afraid. Everywhere we turn, there are anxiety-inducing stimuli, fear-inducing stimuli. It's everywhere. Not to mention the fact that we have a negative bias because we're predisposed to feeling fear and anxiety because, from an evolutionary perspective, the people who felt fear and anxiety were the ones who survived. So we're the descendants of ancestors who survived by being scared and by feeling anxiety and feeling and being worried. So you got to actually work to override that kind of stuff. And if you don't know it's there, you don't know that you're predisposed and you're being encouraged, and your evolutionary pedigree is to feel that, you're not going to know, and you're just going to go with it and be anxious and depressed. So for a lot of reasons, psychological issues like anxiety and depression, they're related to psychology. And I also feel a little uncomfortable just talking about the nutritional side of things or the physiologic side of things when it comes to those kinds of issues. However, that being said, when you have, for example, leaky gut and toxicities going into the bloodstream, that is going to trigger a stress or anxiety response. If you're not processing toxins at the level of the liver, once again, there'll be toxicity that goes into the blood that will trigger an anxiety response. And if you're on serotonin reuptake inhibitors, you have any issues with serotonin, the same thing can happen. So I'm a little bit leery of just giving you some nutritional strategies for dealing with anxiety and depression, because you may have other reasons, maybe legitimate reasons to be depressed. Yeah, it's a depressing world in a lot of ways. So, while we tend to treat depression as an illness, in a way, it's kind of a rational response to what's happening in the world, as long as it's not debilitating. Now, if it's debilitating, that's a whole nother thing. But, life can be depressing. So the reason I tell you all this is because I don't want to be the kind of nutritionist that just says take this vitamin or that vitamin to deal with your psychological or emotional or mental health condition. That being said, there are incredible physiological strategies that you can use and you should use that will help you deal with things like anxiety or depression or full-blown psychological issues, including and starting with the digestive system, which is always where you start. And if you heard me talk, you know, first point in the triangle of disease, you always start with the digestive system. When you have what's called meaning dysfunctional or messed up, glycemia, i.e. messed up blood sugar, what I call the high blood sugar, low blood sugar roller coaster, that can also predispose you to anxiety issues as well as depression issues. So controlling your blood sugar is important, and there are nutritional supplements, I'll tell you about those in a sec, that can help there. And of course, your adrenal glands are your stress glands. And if you're suffering from excess adrenal activity or excess sympathetic activity, again, that can lead to issues with anxiety and stress too, which of course takes us to the triangle of disease, which is always where you want to go. Always, 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 you guys. Always, always, always the triangle of disease, or to simplify, the plane of disease. The 2 points, the digestive system and the blood sugar system. So you did say, and I could have guessed, I could have surmised that you have a history of digestive health issues. That represents a major treasure trove of potential health benefits for you if you start to approach digestive health. And, you know, I hate to keep saying this, but I will. Food diary, elimination diet, digestive support supplements, I-26, ultimate enzymes, apple cider vinegar with your meals, ultimate microbiome, staying away from inflammatory substances that can exacerbate leaky gut. For example, fried fats exacerbate leaky gut. Anything fried, any fried fats, gluten, lectins. These molecules that are plant defense molecules that are found in various vegetables and fruits. Those mostly vegetables actually, and seeds actually mostly. Those should be avoided if you notice that you have responses to those kinds of foods. And this is all trial and error. You're gonna have to test it. And then also using things that kind of protect the gut, strengthen the leaks or plug the leaks, we'll say. Things like collagen peptides, things like the Fit Shake or the TMR that have whey protein in them, Fucoid Z, the Body Balance. All of these are nutrients that you could use to strengthen the intestine, the connective tissue, as well as the mucosa at the level of the intestine. You should do all that. And then, of course, probiotics are important. All the digestive support supplements. And then stabilizing your blood sugar. So I would be focusing on blood sugar as well. You can pretty much assume if you're like over 40 or over 50 and you're subsisting on anywhere near the standard American diet, that you are going to have a degree of dysglycemia, messed up blood sugar. And don't confuse that with diabetes. Diabetes is an official diagnosis that the doctor gives you. That's different from the biochemical process called dysglycemia. Not doctors, but the medical model owns the brand name diabetes, like Kimberly Clark owns the brand name Kleenex. It's a brand name, and you can't use it. And that's what Ruth Ellen says every time at the beginning of the program, or Rebecca, or I've even heard Michelle Wallach say that same thing. You cannot use these brand names because they're copyrighted, essentially. I don't know if they're really copyrighted, but essentially they're trademarked by the medical model. But you can say dysglycemia, messed up blood sugar, because it's a biochemical process, and you can rest assured that if you're anywhere near the standard American diet in your 40s or even 30s or more or older, that you're dysglycemic, and that represents another treasure trove of potential health benefits if you start to work there. Not to mention the adrenal glands, which is the third point. And one of the fastest ways to get out of anxiety issues, and conversely to trigger anxiety issues, is to work with respiration, breathing. Breathing is the only way that we can control what's known as the autonomic, which you can think of as automatic nervous system. You have an automatic nervous system that under ordinary circumstances you don't have any control over. It's your heart rate, it's your blood pressure, it's your digestive functioning, liver functioning, it's your immune system, it's your anxiety, we'll say, or depression levels. All of these are controlled automatically. The only place where you can control, or the fastest way where you can control the autonomic nervous system, the automatic nervous system, is with breathing. Slow, deep, rhythmic breathing, SDR breathing, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. And so you want to focus on breathing techniques as well for anxiety and also for sleep. And then along this in the realm of psychology, things like gratitude and forgiveness and love and compassion, the virtues, if you will, those are all going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, give you benefits for if you're dealing with anxiety, as well as digestive health issues. Because remember, there's a link between anxiety via serotonin. There's a link between the digestive system and anxiety. And so calming the body down generally will not only help you with anxiety issues and depression issues, but will also help you with digestive issues too. So
yeah. Some of my symptoms, like this, it feels like acid reflux, but the doctor said it's not. But yet it's damaging my eyes, my mouth.
Acid reflux wouldn't damage your eyes necessarily, but why does he say it's not? Do you have splashback? Does it burn?
It just constantly, this stuff is just coming out of my gut
What?
area.
Coming out of your what?
Out of my gut area, out of my mouth. And
well, wait, hang on. Your gut area or your mouth? Those are different.
Well, it's coming up out of my gut through my mouth.
Well, why does he say that's reflux? I mean, the way you're describing it sounds like reflux. Why wouldn't he say it's not reflux?
Well, I mean, he threw me on proton pump inhibitors in June, and I immediately, within about 4 days, I got low sodium. So I was using famotidine and carafate. And
hang on. Why does he say it's not reflux? Everything you're talking about makes it sound like it's reflux. So what's this thing?
Had testing done where you wear the wire down into your gut for 24 hours in the motility testing. And he said, you don't have acid reflux. It's hypersensitive esophagus. And like I said, the postnasal drip gets stuck in my throat, goes down in my stomach and sets this stuff off.
Well, that could be a lot of things, but something's not making a lot of sense because reflux is not a stomach issue. You can't go into the stomach with a camera or whatever the diagnostic tool they use and determine reflux. Reflux is a sphincter issue. So your esophagus is connected to your stomach, like the tube. Your esophagus is a tube. Then you get your stomach, and there's a little sphincter, a muscle that opens.
I think that's messed up.
Yeah, that reflux has nothing to do with it's not a stomach issue. It's a sphincter issue. It's a flabby sphincter. The sphincter is supposed to close when there's acid present and then open when there's not acid present. But if the sphincter is flabby or if there's neurological issues at the level of the sphincter, you're going to get splashback. Also, if there's gases that are being produced upwards from the intestine because you have messed up gut bacteria, that will also cause splashback. So there's a disconnect there as far as him saying there's no reflux, especially if you took a PPI and you noticed that it stopped. It sounds like reflux to me. Reflux is very serious, but it is really a condition that can be controlled through lifestyle choices, through food choices. Reflux follows the wrong foods, and you'll notice that certain foods are more predisposed to cause reflux, and that's proof right there that certain foods will cause reflux. It can also have to do with outgassings from the intestine.
Yeah.
Following disruptions or dysbiosis, like they have dysglycemia is messed up sugar, dysbiosis is messed up gut bacteria, and that outgassings that come out from all those bacteria, especially when you have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, that can cause reflux too. So again, look, as much as I like talking about this, just in the interest of helping you, work on your digestive system, work on your food choices, go calorie restriction, go elimination diet, food diary, and then use all the digestive support supplements. Carafate is one of the least invasive pharmacological protocols or strategies for acid reflux, but the proton pump inhibitors are a little bit more chemically complex, and those are going to have problems with. Carafate, not so much. Carafate for everybody else is kind of like a resin, and the acid kind of sticks to it. That might deprive your body of certain nutrients, though. So there's really no drug that's not going to have a problem associated with it. But carafate being non-biochemical, I guess you'd say, is a little gentler probably than the PPI.
Well, my head is also burning, and like all over my head, it's pins and needles and burning when the acid stuff's going, and it's affecting.
It's not the acid that's called. Acid doesn't go to your head, but toxicity from your intestine can go to your head.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's where everything what you're telling me, if I was working with you directly, if you're my mom or somebody that I knew, I would say everything you're talking about, all roads lead to the intestine. Everything you're talking about sounds like dysbiosis or SIBO or leaky gut or some kind of intestinal issue.
Okay.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Thank you very much, Ben. That was excellent. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, Albert. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Albert. And okay, we're going to go back to Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't get my headphones to go off earlier. I'm at the market. I have two questions. One,
Yes.
somebody came to see me today and he said he's always been healthy. He's over 60. And all of a sudden, recently, he's having trouble breathing. And
Oh my God.
the MDs have run him through all kinds of tests and they haven't found anything wrong. He was ended
Well,
up
then
in
there's
the
nothing
ER.
wrong. Then there's, if the MDs didn't find anything wrong, then clearly there's nothing wrong, right? I'm kidding.
I know. Of course, I talked to him about the Healthy Body Start Pack, of course.
No, well, listen, if a guy's having problems breathing and he's 60, something's been percolating in there. There's lots of reasons why somebody can have problems breathing.
He ended up in the ER because he couldn't breathe at all.
Could be a lot of things. There could be all kinds of reasons of doing it. The only way to know exactly what's doing it, especially if there's no like frank, full-blown, obvious symptoms like COPD or something like that, and he's not a smoker, that typically involves the immune system. One of the things that happens when the immune system becomes activated, we'll say, is the blood vessels, the bronchi, the breathing vessels in the lungs will constrict. That's what asthma is. So I would, first of all, I'd be seeing if I could link problems breathing to specific food issues, toxins, something that's getting into his body. The only way to do that is to chart it. I would also, it's a little troubling, not troubling, it's a little difficult when somebody says I was perfectly healthy and all of a sudden this happened.
When I talked to him a little further, he has some neuropathy. So,
so listen.
And he's supposed to be filling out a health evaluation, but he didn't do it yet.
Well, look, here's the thing. Not to make anybody wrong or make anybody sound bad, but everybody should hear this. This is how people think. Not on this call, hopefully, and people in longevity, but the average person thinks I'm perfectly healthy and then this happened. Oh, yeah, but I had my gallbladder taken. Oh, yeah, but I have neuropathy. Oh, yeah, but I have weight issues. Oh, yeah, but I have osteoporosis. We don't make the connections.
Right, I understand.
You got to dig deep and you got to accept a priori as a first principle. You have to accept first and foremost that things don't just happen. They're always connected to some kind of biochemical breakdown. And when somebody says I'm perfectly healthy and all of a sudden I got Parkinson's disease, that doesn't mean they were perfectly healthy. That means they were missing something the whole time.
Right, understand.
Okay, good. So now, then you say, okay, so great. So what are they missing? Well,
I asked him about anxiety, and he says he does have some anxiety.
Okay, that makes sense.
That was
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But here's where I was going with this. Okay, so first of all, you have to accept as a first principle, as an axiom, that if you have something going wrong in your body, there's a cause for it. It doesn't just happen. So then the question becomes, what's the cause? You always go to, and remember, the disease that smart people suffer from is, AJ?
Overthinkitis.
Overthinkitis. Don't overthink. And, I'm kind of, I know I say that and it sounds kind of cute and I don't mean to be rude or anything, but we are led to believe by the medical model that this is complicated. They want us, not the individual doctor, I'm not talking about the individuals, but the model, the paradigm, the designers of the model, if you will. They want us disempowered. So they make it sound complicated. That's why your prescription is written in Latin. Your doctor doesn't speak Latin. Why do they have to write in Latin? What's that about? They write in Latin so you won't know what the heck's going on. And that's how they want it. You're not supposed to know what's going on. So it makes it sound like it's really complicated. It's not. The body is self-contained. It's like a closed loop, a circle. In physics, there's a physics law that says energy and motion will stay in motion, or a closed system will always stay, the energy in a closed system will always stay the same. Law of conservation within a closed system. Everything stays the same, but the body has two portals, two openings. And those two major openings are through the skin, which isn't really an opening. You got to really violate the skin to get through into the body through the skin. But for the most part, most of the stuff that happens that makes the body get thrown off is through food. And that should be no surprise. The food we eat today didn't exist 200 years ago. Our entire food supply has been completely turned over. There's a completely different food supply. So obviously, there's going to be problems there. So it shouldn't require too much education to understand that, hey, food is a major player when it comes to the deterioration or degeneration of the body, when it comes to degenerative disease. If this guy's got a problem breathing, Breathing is part of the immune system. The main or problems breathing are associated with the immune system, we'll say. And the main place where the immune system lives, the headquarters of the immune system, is the intestine, the digestive tract. So of course there's got to be some kind of connection there. Now he also has neuropathy. He has other things too. Nobody just has neuropathy and
Right.
breathing issues. Nobody just has that.
Well, we were talking about food, and that's how it came up, because I was talking about sugar, and then
All
he
of
said,
that.
"Oh, by the way."
Okay, so neuropathy is a classic sign of dysglycemia, messed up blood sugar, as well as deficiencies in nutrients that help the body process sugar. And I know I've said this before, but it's kind of a cool story. The first vitamin to be discovered was discovered in the late 19th century in the Philippines, or in Southeast Asia, when they noticed that when the native Filipinos started eating the same food that Americans were eating, they got peripheral neuropathy. What were they eating? Bleached flour, white rice. Native populations had no problem with dark food. In the United States, and most of the United States, dark food was considered dirty. So food was made white. How was it made white? By removing the hulls off of rice or off of grains, the grain seeds. The hulls, or the shells of seeds and rice and grains, contain very rich, dense amounts of the B vitamins, particularly vitamin B1. Vitamin B1 was the first vitamin to be discovered when it was noticed that if you gave rice polishings, that's the outside part of rice that was removed to make it white, to people who had peripheral neuropathy, the peripheral neuropathy went away. So they said, oh my gosh, there's something in these rice polishings that's curing peripheral neuropathy. And they dug a little deeper, did some experimenting, and that's when they discovered thiamine, vitamin B1, which is like a cure for peripheral neuropathy because it's one of the most important of the sugar processing vitamins, maybe the most important. There's another disease that alcoholics get. There's a relationship between sugar and alcohol, and alcoholics get certain brain diseases. And guess what? Vitamin B1 is the cure for Werner-Korsakoff syndrome or alcoholic psychosis. They'll just stick it right in your blood. Vitamin B1. It's literally the cure for these kinds of health issues. So if he has peripheral neuropathy, chances are he's dealing with dysglycemia. Get him on the healthy blood sugar pack. Get him on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I was going to say, but that's part of the healthy blood sugar pack. Ultimate EFA is, again, part of the healthy blood sugar pack. All of the basic nutrients in the healthy blood sugar pack will help him with peripheral neuropathy. There's another supplement, and there's small amounts, I think, in the Immortalium, but you probably want to take more amounts, called alpha lipoic acid, and that's another really cool supplement for helping folks deal with peripheral neuropathies.
What, do we have that? Is that in?
You have to get a high, we do, but not in high enough doses. So I would be treating this gentleman, first of all, I'd be seeing if I can link his breathing issues to specific foods. That's first of all. And second of all, I'd be treating him on like the triangle of disease. Point 1, digestive health. Point 2, blood sugar issues.
I was kind of wondering about the Oxybody cherry berry, which is the oxygen. No, that's,
because of breathing?
yeah.
No, that's not, that's a different kind of oxygen.
Okay. And then thank you so much. And then my second question kind of relates to what you were talking about before. Like, I've had 2 different people just today come in, and I had somebody last week also, talking about that they had COVID or whatever, sickness, and they have a lingering cough. In some cases, the cough may be chronic, not just from COVID, but chronic longer than that. And they feel pressure in their throat. And some of them are denying acid reflux, or that they're eating things that would cause acid reflux, but they feel a pressure like in their throat.
Well, pressure in the throat might be constriction, and constriction is also an immune response. So it could be, again, something they're eating that's triggering an immune response. Is it associated with foods? Did you say?
No, I said the last one that I just had a conversation with, she was not feeling like she should have been eating things that would be causing acid reflux. She didn't feel that it was causing acid.
It doesn't sound like it's acid reflux, but it could be constriction.
Her doctor is trying to rule things out, and he put her on omeprazole.
Okay, I don't, every time I hear something like that about doctors and omeprazole, that just, that doesn't do me any good for my blood pressure or my longevity. So.
She told me she's willing to wants to try it for a couple of
Well,
weeks.
no, look,
Roll
listen.
out the doctor, and then she's willing to look at our,
No, I don't want her to be willing to look at anything. I want her to beg for it.
Okay.
I don't want her willing to. And you shouldn't either. You
Yeah,
want her
I hear
begging
you.
for it. You know what I'm
I hear
saying?
you. Yeah.
Okay, that's first of all. That's offensive, actually. I'm willing to. So that's first of all. Secondly, the things you're describing, and actually everybody who's been on this call have been describing, are reactions. So acid reflux is a reaction. Breathing issues are reactions. Constriction in the throat, as you're describing, is a reaction. They don't just happen, they're reactions. It's not like I'm sitting there minding my own business, all of a sudden my throat got constricted, right? Oh, I'm minding my own business, and all of a sudden my lungs, I can't breathe. All of these things are reactions. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So I'm going to work here. So a reaction, they're clearly reactions. A reaction is a response to an action. That's what the word reaction means. That's not science. That's not medicine. That's not anything complicated. That's just the word. Reaction is a contraction of response to an action. Are you with me?
Yes.
So point number one, it's a reaction. We're working here. Point number one, it's a reaction. Point number two, a reaction is a response to an action. Now, if you have a response to an action that you don't like, if you don't like that response to the action, what would be the logical thing to do if you don't want that response?
Stop whatever that was causing it.
Stop the action,
Yeah.
right? Now, it's a little bit harder than that because you got to find the action.
Yeah, she's telling me she has no idea what it is.
Of course not. Of course not. It's common. She doesn't know. So she goes to the doctor. If she knew, she would stop it, right? There's an old joke where somebody goes to the doctor and says, "Hey doc, it hurts when I do this." The doc says, "Well, stop doing that." You know, it's like if you stop the action, you won't have the reaction. Now, your point is well taken. It's a little trickier because you got to find what the action is. But that's a whole different question than I'm going to go to the doctor and he's going to fix me, right?
Absolutely.
The idea, oh, I have this constriction, or I got this reflux, or I got this pain, or whatever it is, the response that says, I'm going to go to the doctor, he's going to fix me, is different from, I've got a reaction, I'm going to find out what that action is. One says the doctor's going to fix me, and I'm going to be fine, I have nothing to do with it, he's just going to fix me. The other says, I've got control. I can control my life. Which sounds better to you?
Of course, control. And I think she does want that and feel that.
Good. So that's good. Then let's continue working here. Okay. So you have a reaction. It's a response to an action. You don't want the reaction, so you stop the action. So now we have to go with action. She says, I don't know. It's very common, very understandable. It's hard to know. So let's talk about action. When we talk about action, what we really mean is something has gotten into the body to cause a response. So when we say action, we mean something has gotten into the body. That's what a reaction is. It does not like something has been sprinkled on their head, right? It's not like there was a butterfly that flapped its wings in South America and all of a sudden I had my reaction. Something got into the body. All right. You see how I'm working here? You see how we're working? I know I'm not trying, and it sounds funny. I'm trying to be logical here. So you got a reaction you don't want. What do? A reaction is a response to an action. You stop the action.
Right.
When we talk about action, we're not talking about a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil. We're not talking about something getting sprinkled on your head. We're talking about something getting into the body. Am I okay here? Are we logical?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. So then the question, now we're getting warmer here. Now we're starting to like shape this thing out. We're starting to flesh this thing out. So something's gotten in the body. Okay. How do things get into the body? Well, you can inject them, and certainly that happens, and that's why I've said so often, and from day one, anytime some knuckleheaded medical professional says to inject something, and trust me, trust the science.
Yeah, and I don't have the answer for that with this particular person. I don't.
Okay, you run. Okay, so that's one thing, but that can happen. We're going to assume that's not the case.
Right.
So where's the other way things get into the body?
Well, eat or the skin.
Well, aside from the skin, violating things through the skin, yes, but we're not going to go there. I'm just going to assume that she's not an IV drug user and that she didn't get,
Good. What you eat? What you put in your mouth?
Not because I'm a foodie.
Right.
Not because I'm David Avocado Wolf and you got to eat organic and you got to, eat carefully and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about logic. Everything we're talking about here, it should be considered logic, engineering or reverse engineering, right? You got a problem in your computer. The computer guy, the IT guy works backwards. This is troubleshooting. right? That's what ideally a medical professional would do, would be troubleshoot, but that's not what they do. They don't troubleshoot. That's
Right.
not what,
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
we're doing here. We're troubleshooting. You got an action you don't want, a reaction you don't want. A reaction is a response to an action. We got to find the action. The action means something's gotten into the body. How do things get into the body? Almost always through food. It's just boom, 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 back, from Z to Y to X to W. We're just working backwards. That's all. Not science, not medicine. No PhD required, no doctor's degree required. You don't have to be a pharmacist. This is just logic. And I want that on my gravestone when I die. This is just logic. Do not let them obfuscate. Do not overthink. It's just logic. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so let's get a couple more. Did you want to say something, AJ? Or you have to go to the bathroom?
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah.
No, I'm next. I'm next.
Okay,
Who's
gotcha.
next? Yeah, he is bringing in some written questions and
Okay,
then
gotcha.
another
All
one.
right.
Go ahead, AJ.
All right. So, Pharmacist Ben, the first thing I just want to comment on your alpha lipoic acid. It's in our collagen peptides, hair, skin, and nails.
Okay.
It's in the glucogenics, Truzyme, reverse,
Oh, okay, gotcha. It's in a lot of different products.
MSM,
There
zero.
you go.
Seems like, and it's also in the Rise.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. That Rise and Restore. Yeah, those are all great places to get alpha lipoic acid. Thank you. Who brought that up?
Well, you were talking about that.
No, I know. Or you did. You're answering that.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
I'm
thank
a
you.
research guy, man.
I appreciate it. I
For you.
appreciate it.
All right, so I have a question that came in from email about treating pelvic floor disorders in males. He's having really trouble doing number 2.
Doing number 2. Well, doing number 2, believe it or not, requires lots and lots of neurological activity. Lots of neurological activity. The most common reason why you have neurology with pelvic floor neurological issues with pelvic floor disorders is because of the same thing that happens when you have arthritis, or when you have wrinkles, or when you have prolapses, or when you have hernias. All of this is related to the only disease there is, which is
My body's falling apart.
My body's falling apart disease. Pelvic floor disorders, when the muscles or the connective tissue, they're kind of linked together, become deteriorate, sometimes with injury. But for older folks, typically with just general deterioration of the connective tissue. So for pelvic floor disorders, pelvic floor disorders, you want to treat yourself like an arthritis, with all the bone and joint pack and the OsteoFX and MSM, the ultimate MSM, and anything you do to build the connective tissue, bone broth, hyaluronic acid, everything with connective tissue. It's a connective tissue issue, and I tease a little bit when I say my body's falling apart disease, but really the connective tissue, and in fact, the connective tissue is so important that I think it deserves its own hour-long Daily with Doc program. So we'll talk about the connective tissue. I'm gone next week, by the way, Ruth Ellen. So the week after, we'll talk about the connective tissue. But that's really the main cause of pelvic floor disorders. When that happens, that starts to affect the neurology. Now, I don't know if he's constipated, he can't go to the bathroom, he's got loose stools.
Very constipated and very small.
It could be that the connective tissue deterioration is affecting his neurology, and that's what I would guess. So if he's been diagnosed with a PFD, pelvic floor disorder, that's a connective tissue problem, and it could now be affecting his nerves, the nerves that are required for having a bowel movement. So treat himself like a arthritic, number one, but there could be reasons why his connective tissue is deteriorating, and the most common reason is blood sugar. Is elevated blood sugar. So this is he diabetic or
he's 5'7"
and
only 113 pounds at
like 10 minutes.
7 years old.
10 minutes. What? Hang on. I will. I'll come there. I have a little emergency here.
Putting out fires.
All right. Well, we're down. I got to go anyway. 2 minutes. So Listen, guys, I got a little emergency, so I gotta take care of
Okay.
it. Okay, guys. Thank you. God bless
Good
everybody.
man,
Thank you,
Pharmacist Ben.
Ben.
Thank you.
Okay, goodbye, sweetheart.
I'm going to mute you and yep, there you go. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, so if everybody can join me up here, that would be awesome. And for those of you whose questions did not get answered, please call our call team at 855-949-3377, and a certified holistic health coach will help you. And if you don't want to call the call team, you can email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com. And we will distribute the emails and we will get all the information that you need. And thank you everyone for coming. We could do 5 hours with Ben. I swear there's always so many questions and he answers them in such detail that it just kind of takes a lot of time. Yes, AJ.
And I just wanted to point out that, you can also try and help yourselves and take some of this information in your own hands and get to wellness publications and get some of Dr. Wallach's books. This is, a good source of information to kind of, help yourself. And you can always give them a call at 800-755-4656. Get yourself, Let's Play Doctor. Get yourself Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Get yourself Hell's Kitchen, and help yourselves.
All right. Thank you, AJ. All right. So let's start with AJ. So AJ is our digital marketing director, and he helps us get on all of the platforms that you all see out there. And he has little tricks to get it on even more platforms, which I was told I'm not allowed to share anymore. So I won't. I respect that. So we are very grateful for him to join us and to be part of the team. Obviously, he's amazing. And then we have Albert, who is joining us from South Africa with Marty. And we are very grateful for Albert. It is nighttime for him. It's late at night for him, and he's here. And he also answers the phone team. He is our nighttime person. So if you call in the middle of the night, Albert is the one that will answer the phone and make sure to leave a message so that he knows who to call back if he doesn't answer at that moment. And then we have Marilyn, who does the dictation during the show and types like crazy to get everything into the chat. So that's one of the benefits of being here live. If they give you a protocol, Marilyn will be typing everything that is said by our guest, and then Phyllis helps with posting the protocols. And when Phyllis isn't here, Marilyn does her best to get that in there as well. And then we have Rod, who also helps with like Albert letting people in, and Rod also goes out to the different social media platforms and makes sure to let us know if there's questions out there, and he checks in. And so we really appreciate him. And then we have Kaylee, who is our student intern who is spending this semester with us and is learning a lot, I hope, about live streaming shows and doing all kinds of other things that are amazing. She's amazing. And of course, we have Phyllis, who is phenomenal, helps with those protocols in the chat, helps with posting on the different social media platforms, bringing questions in. Also is one of the people that helped get Doc on the radio. And I don't know how many millions of people she's helped him help. So thank you so much, Phyllis. And I'm Ruth Ellen Sanchez. I'm the executive production manager of Daily with Doc and Becca. And I'm filling in for Rebecca Dukes. And I just want to say thank you for joining us. We all really appreciate you, and I apologize that we couldn't get to everyone's questions. Again, questions@dailywithdoc.com. If you want to email it in, and if you need to call, it's 855-949-3377. 3377. We do have a call team waiting to answer your questions. And also, just be kind. Be kind to everyone. You don't know what somebody's going through. They may look fine on the outside, but inside they could be just struggling really bad. Things are difficult. And, you know, as Ben talked about, if you watch the news, it can be very depressing. So be kind and smile, because a smile can change somebody's day. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad that you were able to. And next Monday, we are going to have Adrian Gold. And we have a guest book for the entire week next week. I'm sorry we had to do replays. There was a couple guests that had health issues. The whole family got sick, and then technical issues with another guest that we have. So we look forward to seeing you, and I hope you have a beautiful and magnificent weekend. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastically awesome rest of your day. Bye for now.
Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.